Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today with 10 cards featuring the Spellbinders Life is a Party June 2020 card kit of the month. Every month I like to share 10 cards created with the card kit of the month. That includes the 10 card bases and envelopes included in each kit of the month, but you can create many more cards than just 10. There's always loads of things left over and also lots of great components if you want to use them for scrapbooking or other paper crafting type of projects. This month, my cards are going to feature everything from cards created mostly with pre-mades from the kit, pattern paper from the kit, to all die cuts, where I am really focusing on die cuts, to cards that kind of feature some pre-mades and some die cut things. I will also be sharing some additional die cuts that don't come in the kit. So things like Nestabilities, Essentials, Ovals, or Rectangles, some Glimmer plates, Glimmer of the Month greeting, and also some other die cut sentiments, all from Spellbinders. Let's start by opening up the kit and seeing what all is included. I am going to show you the incredible exclusive dies that come in the kit, which is this beautiful florals. Part of the reason that I created so many cards with the dies this month are florals are just timeless. You can always use them for so many different types of cards, and these are really incredible. I hope you guys are loving the look of these as much as I am. You can use these with your card kit components, with other cardstock and pattern paper and product that you have in your stash already. Good florals are always a great thing to have in your collection. There's always a little how-to guide that comes in each kit. We've got some great chipboard stickers. I'll be using one or two of those in my cards today. Some sequins, foam adhesive squares, and double-sided adhesive. A stamp set. I'm going to be using some of the sentiments from this. However, if you're going to have a party of some sort, that would be an incredible stamp set as well. Our 10 cards and envelopes. Some chipboard letter stickers. I will be using some of these on one card, but I kind of waited till the end to use those, and I wish I'd used more of them. I really like them. And the 6x6 paper pad. Oh my gosh, I love the pattern paper this month. So many good ones, and you're going to see me use a ton of these throughout. And then fantastic cardstock and foil cardstock. And then, as you know, something that I tend to kind of gravitate towards and center a lot of my cards around are the pre-made die cuts. Probably less cards this month than most will have the dies. I don't really know why. I used quite a few of them. I just didn't use as many. The first couple cards I'm going to share with you here in just a minute, though, feature so many die cuts. It's creating an all-over background design with die cuts. So instead of maybe a pattern paper, we're going to create a pattern paper looking type of background for the card. So I always start by separating out the dies. Sentiments, you can see I'm putting all the banners together. Then like the string banners down there along the bottom, cacti I'm going to put together, the houses, hexagon shapes I kind of all laid together, little llamas, more cacti, sentiments that I thought I might want to use, whether I did or not, who knows. Some great circle shapes, which I don't think I ended up using, but I love them. I lay them aside to use them, and I didn't ever get to those. More sentiments, and I think a lot of these would be really fantastic for scrapbooking. So kind of keep that in mind as well if you are a scrapbooker or a project life type of memory keeper. All of these great little pieces, some bigger sentiments, and then some grilling sentiments that I really was drawn to as well. So here is a peek at the first two cards that we're going to share today. One is a birthday themed card and one is a Father's Day themed card that I used all those grilling images. So I'm going to use the Nestabilities Essential Rectangles Etched dies, the two largest dies from the that collection. These are fantastic essentials. I cannot say enough about them. If you've watched any of my videos from the past couple of months or several months, you will know that I've used these a lot. I think they're super versatile. I'm going to take both the outer rectangle, which measures 4 by 5¼ and then the next size down, which is little dots, and we're going to run those through our Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine using one of the pattern papers from the kit. And what we're going to end up with is this fantastic pattern paper that has little dots in it. So it's an instant frame, no matter what color of cardstock you put this over. I think the only color that's really not going to show up great is probably yellow. I chose to do some of the blue cardstock from the kit. I just used the large rectangle to die cut another shape. And then I gathered a lot of like the guitar and the cacti together, and then the Peace, Love, and Party little blanket there that I thought were fantastic for this card. So this is kind of a non-traditional birthday type of card, but I really love the bright, fun colors of this one. And I'm going to adhere then my pattern paper to the cardstock. I like to use a little 1/8 inch adhesive all the way around from the dotted die cut border out. And then I'll just put a little adhesive in the center as well before I place this over the blue cardstock. And instantly you'll see that blue cardstock peek through those holes, which frames it up beautifully. Then I want to kind of lay out my Peace, Love, Party banner so I know where that's going to go, so I don't really put something too much underneath it. Then I'm simply going to glue in place all of these images around. And I am purposely kind of doing this way and that. Some are upside down. I want this to look like a pattern paper. I thought I'd use those birthday cakes, but I think it's the black or that dark brown on them that I don't particularly love. So I actually opted not to use the little cupcake or cake pieces there, not cupcake, cake. And I'm going to instead use the guitar and cacti, and then we'll pop up the blanket with foam adhesive. Now at this point you could trim off the excess, place this on the card base and call it done. But I went ahead and went to my product stash, and I pulled a stamp set from the Simon Says Stamp Tiny Words Birthday stamp set. And I will stamp the phrase "Only the best for your birthday" on that kind of watermelon-y color cardstock that's included in the June kit. We're going to place that in our MISTI. We're going to stamp that with a clear embossing ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. Trim it into a little thin strip. I purposely stamped it up at the top of the panel, and then I'm going to trim that into a little strip after I've embossed with white embossing powder and pop it up underneath the Peace, Love, Party blanket banner with foam adhesive as well. And that's just going to tie it all together. I personally love a combination sentiment, whether that be a scripty sentiment with a more typeset kind of sentiment, or a die cut sentiment with a stamped sentiment, in this case a pre-made sentiment with this little stamped and embossed sentiment underneath. I love how that looks, and I think it just takes your card up a little bit and adds some interest. The final thing I decided to do is in some of those open areas on my card, I'm going to take Nouveau Crystal Drops, and we're going to just create some fun little droplets, pulling the colors directly from the pre-made dies. So we've got a little Midnight Blue, we have some candy, or red berry, pardon me. So Midnight Blue, red berry, carnation pink, and I think these just add a great little confetti-ish type of touch to the card that I really, really love. And then there's going to be some apple green, which is going to be the lighter green color, and a woodland green, which is the dark green color. I'm not for sure if all of these colors are still available or not, but more than likely, if you have some Nouveau Crystal Drops or something similar, or even sequins or gems, whatever it might be, you can pull some of those colors out and add little accents to your card. I'm going to set that aside to completely dry then. And I decided I loved that design so much that we're going to create another similar card. So everything about this is basically the same, just different pattern paper and different images we're using. I've got that blue and white pattern paper from the pattern paper pack. We have the Barbecue Master sentiment, and then we're going to stamp a Happy Father's Day for underneath this, because this could really be for anything. It doesn't have to be Father's Day. You could even do like a thank you card if you're going to a friend's barbecue. So like Barbecue Master and then thank you, and maybe you take a new grilling tool or a rub or something that the recipient would love. I think that would be a really fun hostess or host type of gift as well. So I'm going to add the grill, hamburgers, hot dogs, a drink there, and we're going to do the same thing that we did before, where we're just kind of scattering these images. I kind of like to start in one area and work my way kind of out and down. Fill in all those little areas. We're going to flip the panel over. Again, those Nestabilities etched rectangles were used for this. The red or watermelon color cardstock was used for the background on this card. We're trimming off the excess. And then I ended up taking one of the little pieces, I think it was like the little milkshake piece that I had trimmed off, and I'm going to just fit that along one side where I felt like I needed something else. Instead of using a whole other die that I could actually use for another project, because there were a couple images there that I didn't use two of, I didn't really want to, kind of use one of those up. So I ended up just piecing in the hot dog and that milkshake, and I didn't have to use additional images, and I can save those for something else. Then I stamped Happy Father's Day. This is from the Lawn Fawn Plain and Simple stamp set on that watermelon cardstock with clear embossing ink, heat embossed with white embossing powder. And again, we are going to add some little Nouveau crystal drops. Red berry, bright gold, and ebony this time. And then we will let that set and completely dry as well. If at any time your Nouveau crystal drops kind of get plugged up, I always like to keep a straight pen and unplug them. I had a couple that probably haven't been used in a little bit, so they were a little bit stuck. So I just carefully unplugged those with a straight pin. So much fun. So my next cards are again going to feature, I liked the look so much that I kind of replicated it, so they're very, very similar. These both feature Nestabilities dies again, so really the background of the watermelon card is super similar to what we created before, only I'm using the watermelon pattern paper. And I am going to do landscape instead of portrait style card. Then that little can't wait to see you sentiment is from the stamp set included in the card kit. I stamped that on some of the navy cardstock in the kit with the clear embossing ink, heat embossed with white embossing powder, and then we're going to trim that into a little thin strip. In addition to that, we're going to be using the watermelon pre-made die, and we're also going to use some other dies from Spellbinders. So this is where we're going to use the bold type Happy Day dies. And this comes with 4 dies. It's going to be the solid Happy and the solid Day, and then the stripes Happy and the stripes Day. And I die cut the word once from the gold foil cardstock included in the kit using the stripey kind of die, so it looks like a shadow. And then 3 times each from the pink and watermelon cardstocks in the kit. and stack them one on top of another for happy and day. That's going to give it a little bit more depth and dimension. And then we're going to glue happy day down to our card. We're going to add our pre-made die cut watermelon, our little sentiment strip that we already stamped and embossed and placed on some foam adhesive there. We're just going to pop that up right underneath. And then I did finish with a little chipboard sticker. It's a little green heart sticker. And I played around with placement for that. But really cute, really, really fast. So super, super fast card. You could even add in some sequins. I just lay them out here. I opted not to. I felt like it really didn't need it for this card, but the sequins are included in the kit and they're a great white basic, so they can be used for anything. And of course, there's always the coordinating envelope. So this next one is, again, very similar, but we're going to switch up the shape. This is the Nestabilities Essential Ovals Etched dies, where I die cut it from a pattern paper. We die cut the solid oval from the gold foil cardstock included in the kit, and we're switching up the shape. And I purposely switched up the shape this time because I thought those floral pre-mades would fit so nicely at the top and the bottom of the oval. I kind of played with that off camera, so I knew that that was going to look nice and kind of help frame it up. And then we've got Thank You. We're going to be using the bold type Thank You etched dies. Same thing as before. This time the You Are So Kind comes from the Simon Says Stamp Tiny Words stamp set that was stamped and embossed with gold embossing powder on the navy cardstock from the kit this time. And then we're just going to pop this on our card. And I did go in with Nuvo Crystal Drops and add a whole bunch of fun, bright, colorful droplets on the card. And I think it really finishes it off nicely. Sequins, gemstones, little hearts or something, any of those would be fun as well. I've talked many times about some of my go-tos for adding embellishment to these pre-made, mostly pre-made card kits. Foam adhesive, Nuvo Crystal Drops, sequins, glossy accents. Those are pretty much my go-tos. You don't really have to have a whole lot more than that. I love that the card kits are so inclusive and you get so much. So my next two cards feature some fun banners. I absolutely loved all of the banners in the kit this month. So I trimmed down this first one to 3 inches by 5.5, this kind of watercolory looking patterned paper, matted it on a little bit bigger piece of the foil cardstock, and then placed it in the center of a white card base. And then we're going to pop up our fun little tassel banners. How cute are those? Along the top of the card. I picked 3 inches for my pattern paper because that's about the width of our banner. So I definitely measured that first, so I kind of knew how it would look visually. Then we're going to take sentiments from the stamp set included in the kit, and I kept this in here because I wanted you to see how something didn't work out and how I fixed it. So I'm stamping Hooray, Can't Wait to See You along the bottom edge. I haven't adhered anything else yet, none of the pre-mades, so I've got plenty of room to play. And when I stamped it, some of it didn't stamp super great. I'm putting gold embossing powder on it, and I just felt like the H, obviously in Hooray, did not stamp great. It didn't emboss. I've left my stamps in my MISTI, so I re-stamped it. The problem with that is that small type did not translate well. It kind of looked like a blob. And so instead of scrapping this and pulling the paper off, which you could, I actually left it, and we're just going to revisit that here in just a minute. So let's kind of lay out our dies, figure out where we want them to go. Let's pop them up with foam adhesive. Remember, that's one of my go-tos for when working with pre-mades. Then I'm going to pop up the llama next to the sentiment down there along the bottom of the card. And these little images are so, so darling. And then I'm going to use a pre-made heart and a chipboard heart. So remember the chipboard stickers has some cute little images too, and we're going to take the little gold heart from there, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then that pink watercolory looking heart, I'm just going to do a couple of little hearts there. So the card's coming together, but I think it's so hard to read the text. And I really contemplated what I wanted to do, and I figured that I could probably add a sentiment strip here and that would work the best. So whether you choose to stamp it with black ink or do what I did clear embossing ink with gold embossing powder, so it still all ties together nicely. You can do anything like that, but a little sentiment strip, if you didn't know, it looks like you meant to do it that way, which I think is fantastic. That's always my goal when something doesn't go quite right, is to fix that. So it's not easy to read. If you don't know what it says, I think it's hard to read. So here is my little replacement strip. Much happier with that. I think it's so much easier to read. Perfect way to finish the card. I did go in with some of the bright gold Nouveau crystal drops, and we're going to scatter those throughout as well. So my next card, very much influenced by this card, but the banners are much longer. They're more like 4 inches wide. So I simply trimmed down a panel of the wood grain pattern paper to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And then I am stamping It's a Celebration from the stamp set included in the kit. And then the phrase, Let's Get the Party Started from the Simon Says Stamp Tiny Words birthday stamp set down along the bottom edge of my card. And this is one of my favorite looks because against this really kind of dark black wash wood grain with the stamped and embossed in white sentiments, it really shows up super well. And I like how it's several rows of text and several different kind of fonts. Then we're going to pop up those awesome banners along the top of the card. So really similar as the last card, but even more simple, I think. Simple but effective. I loved how this one turned out. And then we're just going to drape those there. We're going to add a little die cut heart underneath the sentiments just to balance out the design. And finish with some gold Nouveau crystal drops. Bright gold, I guess, is the color I'm using. And you can see how making sure you measure those banners gives you a good idea of where to go when you're looking for designing the card. It definitely looks awesome draped against this width of a background. My next 2 cards, we are going to break out the exclusive dies for one of the cards and then do another pre-made, a really simple pre-made, and then my final 2 cards are going to be a lot of die cutting. So I wanted to use the Framed Essentials Effortless Greetings Glimmer frame and a sentiment from the Glimmer of the month. And I originally glimmered it right to the card base. You can see that in the background. The problem with that is the cards have a little texture and I don't think they glimmer all that well. So I actually took some of the white cardstock in the kit and glimmered it with the polished brass foil, and it showed up so much better. And we're just going to trim that down to 4 by 5 1/4 inches and cover up what we did on the card base. So I'm not actually losing anything. Another little way to fix something that maybe you don't like how it turns out all that well. All of the flowers, leaves, all of the little things here were die cut using the exclusive dies from the kit. And I'm using all shades of blue with some green for the greenery and then some gold as well to tie back into our foiled sentiment and foiled frame. How awesome is the Glimmer of the Month? I can't wait to show you my video with those. Absolutely adore this Glimmer set. It is a fantastic basic. If you have been wanting to get started with glimmering, with foiling, it is a good one because I always think a sentiment is a fantastic way to get started. Looks so elegant. It's a perfect little thank you card here. You add some pretty flowers and you're done. I'm using an embellishment wand to help pick up any little pieces there. Put them in place where they go, just building all of the flowers. And you can see there over to the left on the screen, I'm using every little part and piece from my gold foil. And that is going to be that for the floral card. Just kind of play around with different little parts and pieces there. I love to layer all the little flower centers. I didn't particularly love the first shape I put in the small flower, so I switched it out with a different one. We'll finish with a few additional Nouveau crystal drops in bright gold. The next card is going to just be a little house card, and I opted to use a single house, a single heart pre-made die cut, a super quick and easy welcome to the neighborhood sentiment, and then we're going to use house background paper and the rainbow paper. This is also going to use those essential rectangle dies, but we're going to use 2 smaller sized rectangles. From the rainbow paper, we're going to back the rainbow paper on the foil paper from the kit, so it's going to show this great little foil frame. And I originally just kind of kept it with that. I stamped my sentiment on my rainbow paper using clear embossing ink. We are using a sentiment from the brand new Simon Says Stamp Home Sweet Home stamp set. That's where the welcome to the neighborhood greeting came from. But I didn't really love all the white space around this. And so I was looking for something to dress up this card a little bit more than what it was. And you'll see what I mean. I'm pretty sure I lay it all here on the white. So here you kind of get an idea. I've popped the house and the heart up with foam adhesive. So I ended up going ahead and trimming the house pattern paper from the kit to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. We're going to put that on our card base first. Then we'll put on our rainbow panel that has our cute little house and heart and sentiment, and it instantly dresses this up and reinforces this card so much better. I love how that looks. A little glossy accents on the heart is going to give it a glossy, raised, shiny finish when it's all dry, and that is it. So that was my fastest card today. My next 2 cards probably going to take a little bit more time. Just because of all the die cutting, but I absolutely adore them. So you guys know that I love the dies. I talked about that earlier in the video. I've done 1 card with those dies already. I'm going to do 2 more. One that's going to have one of the pre-made sentiments, and one where I'm going to use some of the stickers from the kit, the foam stickers, and then I'll add a little stamped phrase as well. So I'm going to put the word enjoy. And I started a little bit lower. I actually want my sentiment to be in the center, and then I'm going to frame up my sentiment with a floral, florals at the top and florals at the bottom. I have trimmed my background pattern paper, which, by the way, this is an awesome pattern paper from the kit, 4 by 5 1/4 inches. If you need help with spacing for stickers like this, sticker letters, I always start with the center, so I started with the J and worked my way out. Then I've stamped, this is a paper birthday hug from the Tiny Words birthday stamp set using black ink on some of the white cardstock in the kit, trimmed that down and adhered it with foam adhesive. Now comes the fun part where we can build around this with all of our beautiful florals. I'm using most of the colors, I think. We've got the navy, we've got light blue, gold foil, pink, watermelon. I think that's it for this one. And we're just going to build these beautiful little floral clusters on the card. I think this is such a great card to send to any friend or mom, sister for their birthday. I love the paper hug sentiment, and the flowers just make it so, so pretty. And I've left kind of the building of the flowers in the video so that if you were wondering kind of how you can put them together, hopefully this gives you a good idea. There really is no right or wrong here at all. I did pop up the flowers, and I believe, yes, just the 3 flowers at the top and the 3 flowers on the bottom with foam adhesive. And that makes it a lot easier to tuck leaves and the little sprig with the buds on it. It makes it easier to tuck all of those things around if you pop those up. And I only used, I think, 2 foam adhesive squares on the 2 larger flowers and 1 on the smaller one. And then you can see I'm just kind of tucking down underneath and behind, adding little dots of glue to the ends of the sprig there, and then layering on those little buds. Perfect. And I love that there's all the little parts and pieces. Spellbinders thinks of it all. They're so good with their dies. Look at how much of a difference layering makes with those little buds there. Let's go ahead and build our flowers at the bottom. All the same colors. I just kind of tried to die cut most of the flowers from other colors of cardstock. I think that medium-sized flower is exactly the same at the top and the bottom. Once that's done, I am taking the Better Days Are Coming. They are called Saturday and Sunday. I think that's a great, funny little sentiment for a maybe not so funny time. Maybe somebody's struggling and you want to send them a little pick-me-up. I'm going to take that pre-made, pop it up in the middle of my pattern paper background with foam adhesive, and then we're building all of these same flowers, but this time I stuck to gold, white, pink, and watermelon colors only. There's no blues here or greens or anything like that. With the pattern paper and my sentiment, I really liked just keeping it these colors. So always kind of work with the colors you have and make sure everything is coordinating really well. And these are all built exactly the same, but I wanted to kind of show how, even with the last card too, the leaves don't have to be green. The card I did previously in the video with the foiled frame, that one had green leaves. These last 2, I have navy leaves and gold leaves and white. You do not have to keep it traditional. I think it's kind of fun to play around with the color. Again, we're going to pop up the 3 flowers and then adhere everything else directly to the card. Just kind of framing along the bottom edge of this sentiment. I decided not to put anything up high. I liked how it looked a little bit. So you get the idea of what it looks when you do florals up above and down below. And then for the second one, just down below. And there are my 2 finished die cut cards. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these 10 cards featuring the Spellbinders June 2020 card kit of the month called Life is a Party. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Spellbinders card kits that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I am so glad you were here, and we will catch you next time.